We can start with the playback since we didn't record last week's. We could do a 2 minute, give me the 2 minute review of last week's stuff. Sure. Okay. So last week we covered some of the newer stuff. Oops, that's the wrong one that we were pulling out. I was going for OS Champs. The new stuff with the categories. So season categories are ways to kind of group seasons on your homepage into kind of nice little seasons or stages or just anything you want to use the categories for. There's some really fun things coming up with how seasons and events can be created by non-admin people. And that'll be dictated typically by the category as well. So you can come in and set a template for a tournament in this case and say, if you want to make a tournament, click here, and it'll pre-fill it out with kind of a template that you specify. Talked a little bit about announcements on your homepage. We talked about rule books as well, and editing those and how those are hot linked around, as well as all of the editing involved in that. I'm trying to think what else we covered. We covered a lot of the gamification stuff with trophies, titles, achievements, badges, XP. There's a lot of other things coming in so that we talked about, but that's at a high level of what we covered last week. And anything else I should point out, Marty? Silence is acceptance.
Yes, sorry. We have a question from Ian Wilhelm. Are categories, announcements, and rule books live?
Yeah. Yep. Those were pushed out a couple weeks ago. So, yep, those are all live, and we can help you out getting that set up. And we'll record that video so we can watch that one back later. So, so today we're gonna keep things a little short today. We're gonna try to keep it so we can keep things moving. But we're gonna cover, I think, two things that are going to be deployed here, either probably not while we talk, but as soon as I'm off the call, I'll be pushing it out to production with probably one more quick pass of looking for some bugs and different things. But things we're going to cover, I'm going to demo this in my dev environment. So if it's a little lacking in terms of content, it's just because it's a dev environment. So I'll close that. First thing that we're going to cover is actually notifications. So if you head over to your settings panel in production in a little bit, you're going to see a new area called notifications. Again, since I'm in my dev environment, this is being rebuilt in real time. So this big white screen, ignore it for now. We do have the ability in here to customize whether we want to get notifications through Discord direct messages, push notifications, can turn those on. And then also emails. Emails are coming later, but you can set that setting if you want that now, and we'll have a way to be sending you notifications there. And then your push devices, you have to register those independently. I will see if I can load this up and demonstrate what that looks like. Let's see if it lets me here. Okay, great. So right now, you'll be able to enable notifications for a specific league here just by tapping that on. You'll notice how I'm getting a prompt up here on Chrome saying, hey, I want to, push notifications there. You can turn that on. This is really handy if you actually install your website as like an app on your phone. So if it's a iOS device, you can use that kind of more button and you can pin it and add to your home screen. And then, Yep.
We are not streaming currently.
Burp. Glad somebody said something. How about now?
There we are.
There we go. Thanks for pointing that out. That's my fault. Yes. So, okay. So we'll go back.
You reroute how we got back here again?
Yeah. So if you're here, if you're under your settings area for your personal profile, you can go to your notifications area. And you'll have your preferences that you can set up here, from Discord DMs, push notifications, and emails. And you can disable and enable notifications on this particular device. So if you install this either as a desktop app, which is kind of nice, or you can install it on your phone, whether it's your iPhone or your Android, you can add it as an app on the phone. We call it a progressive web app. You can actually enable built-in native notifications. And there's a handy dandy button to hit send test. And this will in a second send a notification through. At least it should. You'll notice how I got also notifications box over here on the right. So we now have all these system messages, and we'll take a look. There's nothing inside here at the moment, but I can trash this guy. So this notification's enabled. Of course, then it's not working in production where it's there. So a couple of things we're working on, but this inbox over here is going to be your full inbox for everything that's happening in the system, whether that's going to be invites to teams. If you're a season admin, this is where you're going to get pinged for disputes or information regarding things that need to happen with the season. So for those who are curious about like how you're going to manage hundreds of matches and dealing with disputes, this may get a little full. So we'll provide some bulk utilities around these things, but you'll have quick actions to take you directly to the match in question and deal with it as well through that notifications. And then that enabling of the notifications directly on the site should also enable it here. And I'm not sure why it's not doing that for me at the moment. I might because I'm in dev and I don't have my certificate set up correctly. So we'll take a look at that, but you do get push notifications there, and that'll be great. So that's going to be a new thing that's coming out later today. And then the notifications and the messages you're going to receive are going to be pretty limited to start, but we're going to slowly increase those as we identify the key pieces of information. We don't want you to have to manage yet another inbox, so we're going to try and keep these things transient. In other words, there's going to be an expiration time on a lot of them, so if you don't respond to it or see it, it will just kind of go away from your inbox because it's probably no longer relevant. So we'll have kind of a self-cleaning, self-archiving system in place to try and keep it relevant as well. So that's number one. The next piece that we're rolling out today is the long overdue registration improvements. And so this is now the ideal way that we've identified through the help of cookies to get going. So if your season is up for registration, there's now a single button for teams to just come through and type your team name in. So demo team 42. And in this case, the way I've set up my league is all teams have to be a part of a group. So I do have to select a group. If your league is not set up like that, this will be an optional field. And if the person is not a part of or manages a group, that field won't even show up. So we can set that team name, hit submit. This is going to perform your registration as well as the team setup and get you straight into your roster to go from here. Now, I don't have any, let's see. So I'm set up as the player right now. That should have set me as manager. Am I on the wrong account? So like I said, there's a couple things I'm still fixing up here. That should have made me a manager. We'll set that correctly really quickly. Okay, so as a manager, you'd come in and you'll be able then to invite codes just like before, or you can search for other people on the team to go. And also, if this is an older team, so I'll go to like the team, this would be like similar to how a lot of the school leagues that are carrying over from last year will be set up. This will be essentially like your Valorant varsity team or something. So you already have a roster that you've already managed to put together, maybe some older players that are retiring, maybe some newer ones that are coming on. If you come over here, all of those players are going to be listed down here, and you can just click invite next to each of their name to quickly get them onto the team. And they may have to do some additional steps depending upon how the season is set up. If you remember, we have a lot of automation involved, but that will likely, there's some new settings coming in today as well under here where we have super managers, player agency, as well as some enforcement of active teams. So these are coming soon, today, tomorrow, to kind of automate some of these processes. Again, really focusing on the school leagues, scholastic leagues, and collegiate leagues that the players don't have, trying to minimize how much the players have to do. So we'll give super managers basically, and they'll be able to come through and just force confirm all of these things. So I think actually if we look at that team, I actually think I might actually have that automation. Yeah, so it actually is set up to automate right there. So that one will automatically conclude and add them to the team, and that team is good to go. So roster management becomes a lot easier at this point. If you're an admin, you can come through, or if you're the team manager, you can come through and just nix them off the team, invite them back. You can also manage their roles from here, everything. So this is now the new super panel for managing your team's roster. And the way you're going to get into that is if you go to the rosters area in the season, you're going to have this panel on the left where you'll see those teams. Now, if you have multiple teams that you're managing, so if you are a coach, these are old ones. We'll create a new team. Actually, we'll select an existing team. So if you are a school league from previous years, you might just click on this one, and that one will just pop right in. And now I'm set up over here as well. So on my rosters, I do have to refresh that page. But just answer that. Yep, you can select the previous instead of creating a new team, just like that. So, so those are all there. You'll notice how new Team 88 over here is listed because they have been confirmed. So they have one active player. This Demo 42 team doesn't have any players. So if I looked back in the settings for this season, you'll see that their team size is 1, meaning it needs one active player on the team. And so if I head back over to Demo Team 42, we'll see that Netizen02, he was removed. I pulled him back. Remember, I deleted him, so he no longer is on that team. And he will get cleaned up here in a minute as things progress. So we can take a look there. He's marked as removed. And I think if I go back to the teams now, the logic will eventually take him off. We do obviously have to maintain the integrity of the data. So if a player has accumulated stats throughout a season, they cannot be removed from a team permanently. They can be flagged as removed, but we're going to keep him listed there with all the stats intact because his statistics contribute to the team's overall statistics. So we keep that connection there. He will just be flagged as removed, and he'll show up here, but he won't show up in any active rosters going forward. So, and there's nuances around that. All of this admin panel now has all been cleaned up as well, so it's much easier to come through and just blow away people as registrants, and it'll take them off the teams. So we can just blow away this one. We'll just delete Netizen01 from it. And if we go over to the teams area now, you'll notice how these now are both marked as canceled and the rosters are empty. So there was a lot of issues and multiple paths into trying to manage that whole system. That's all been cleaned up today, last couple days. And so still obviously bulletproofing it, but it is far better than it used to be. We have obviously confirmations on making sure that if you delete a team, that's there. If you delete a team and it has roster members on it, it'll automatically go through all the registrants down here and clean them up as well. Managing individuals, you can do that through here as well. Adding them, let's see, we'll add another team. We'll add them back. And we'll mark them as active and we'll force complete them. Oh, I have to set them as active there. And then we're good to go. See, auto completed. So I managed the entire process now of getting that team in, getting them confirmed and good to go. So this is more akin to what we had previously, but following all of the kind of the new rules and data model requirements we have in the back end to ensure integrity of the data and all the stats preservation. So, okay. And so, so team settings over here, we can go through these later, but this should all get rolled out. That's the big one for us. We're really excited about the optimization of this whole registration process. Again, if you get invited to a team, you'll get notifications through Discord or in that inbox over here on the right side. You'll see all these things as well. And those links will take you straight to the teams to finish your registration and beyond. So I'll show what that looks like here. We'll take a team and we'll add Netizen to this one. So he should be marked as invited now, or he starts as pending. We'll go back over to my registrants. I'm going to mark him as invited. That's going to undo his completion here. And you'll notice immediately my notification popped up. It says you've been invited to join here, and that will get cleaned up, but that will take me to please finish your registration. So once that link is activated, you'll end up with this. So if you are coming into a league and you have an invite, you'll see that complete registration with a little indicator saying you've been invited to this team. And right there, you'll see all these things. You'll see the roster. You'll see who's invited, who's playing, all the status, and then you can just click on join and get yourself activated on the team, and it should be good to go. I have a problem where the dates of the matches in bracket do not match the dates I've given in the settings. Do you know how to fix the problem? Yes, I do. NECC has lots, heads up. um, so I think we can show a bracket. So depending upon how you want to do it, you could come through and edit the match dates right here individually. You could come through and set those. If you're wanting to move like entire rounds, you might want to go into like the calendar, and you go to the semifinals. And I have 2 matches in the semifinals here, and you could adjust all of those start-ins, the check-ins, the match starts, and results too for all of the matches within a specific round. You can also increment, add an hour, add a day, add a week if you need to bump things back. So this interface will get some love eventually, but it's a quick way to quickly manage all the matches, start times, results due, all that stuff directly in this thing. So calendar for bulk editing, if you need to manage them individually, you can go to the matches area over here, and you could go match by match and change those if you need to. I'll point this out. This was a side little thing I did Saturday night. For those of you who have kind of a pro membership to the league, let me log out here. If you look here, we now have vanity URLs support without needing to talk to me. So once this gets rolled out, you'll be able to come through, and if you have unlocked this level, this is one of our high levels of LeagueOS, but for right now, it is technically free for everyone. So if you have questions about whether or not this is going to be the right thing to do for you, make sure you ask us. But you could come through and you get all the DNS information, the CNAME records, and setting all this up. It'll provision all this SSL certificates for you and get all that pulled together. So if you're a Scholastic League or a Collegiate League, this is probably of interest to you. You guys do qualify for this, so let us know if you want to do this, and we can just oversee and guide you through this process. But this is all up and running now. Question about signups. Are we able to change who/what level can sign in? So managers, yes, managers are always the ones who can register teams. That's the role of the manager. Is there a preference to do that? That is kind of the designated understanding of what a manager should do. What was a premium? What would the cost be for me? You would like it to go all the way down to captain. I can make a ticket, Caleb. I know that we've talked about this internally. We're actually making kind of a huge team role restructuring behind the scenes, so you can actually create your own roles, put aliases on them, and then define the permissions at each level. There will kind of be like different levels where you could have any number up to 10 in like the manager role, and you could call it a captain, and different things. That'll probably address what you're looking for. So that is on the to-do list. Alex has been bugging me about that forever. So when we say premium, what would cost for that be? We are unsure at the moment how much that is going to be. Just because signups should go out shortly, is there basically a quick fix we can do? Are you wanting are you structuring it such that like the players themselves as the captains are the ones doing the team registration? Let's talk after the fact, Caleb. I think we can talk about your situation and figure that out correctly. The premium, so you probably weren't here last week, but the way that LeagueOS is going to be structured is a lot like Discord. We're taking a lot of cues from how they do their monetization and feature sets. So where a Discord server gets boosted, we're going to have the same kind of concept. So LeagueOS, your league on LeagueOS can get boosted, and once you reach a certain number of boosts, then that will unlock more features. And so we plan on having probably up to about 4 or 5 different levels to be unlocked. And our hope is that we will set the price points correctly for what leagues should be hoping to monetize. On top of that, we have some additional really cool things that Discord is not doing. We'll talk about those in detail more. I don't want to get ahead of myself on that. But for right now, if you're wanting that vanity URL, let us know, and we'll unlock that for you. Just know that we have expectations going forward of what that might cost. We would hope that a league that has for instance, LOS Champs right now, has over 3,000 players. Active player base is, a third that to maybe half that on any given season. We would expect that the number of boosting that they would get from that player base in that 5 to 10% would be easily enough to cover all the full feature set of the league. So again, that is what we're trying to achieve, to make sure that we're growing with the leagues, and that they get more features. The more people that they engage, the bigger the leagues get, the more what are the words I'm looking for? As the loyalty increases, as the community gets better, and the league is more recognized and putting on good tournaments, good seasons, good play, all those things, then they continue to grow with us with the feature set. So, okay, yeah. So we're trying to build a backend for the NECC, and we have access to the API, but it would be helpful to see sample match data for determining what data we need to save for their purposes. Got it. I'm assuming that's on your end for pulling the data down to see that. Yeah, you can come through. So if we go to NECC, we can make a test one for you just so we can experience that. Okay, so here's our matchup of Arkansas. These two teams are the same thing. I think one is whatever. We go to our verifying stage. So it's a best of 3 just by the nature of it. So we'll say that they were game 1 goes to them, 2-0 to that team, and they dominated 5-1 there. And we'll confirm that, and we'll move this one into finish here. So at this point, the API, you could extrapolate with your API key. You look at the URL here. That's going to be your season ID, that'll be your stage ID, and then your match ID. So if you go with the API and grab that data right now, you would see the games and all the data that's associated with that. And this would be just for the team information. If you had players on here, you would see all the player data embedded as well. So we'd have to do some extra work to kind of pull that data forward. So we will leave this here for now. We'll make sure we'll clean this one up. The one thing we don't know how it will work is the player data. It depends on the game. So see as a batch how it pulls. If you're looking for individual player data, okay, so this would be the data structure for that whole match that we were looking at a second ago, and this would be what you would see through the API. It's the same data set. So we have 2 teams, 3DG and Alitek. So inside here there's a games array, and that is essentially where all the stats typically are stored for everything. So inside here you can drop down into the team stats, and those are organized as again, this is game 1 right here. Inside here we have team stats, and this is a dictionary. So here's the team, whatever KDB. You'll have to do some additional API calls to the different teams to go fetch them and get their information. This is a partial data set, so you will have to combine it with multiple API calls. That's by design on my end to minimize data requests, and I don't have a GraphQL hooked up yet. GraphQL is on the list, but I don't expect that to come online until probably next spring. So this KDB is probably the home team, and then there's a player stats, and these are the 3 players. That's right, my saves, assists, shots, goals, and these align up with the stats that we would expect. So that's game 1. So and this would be your member ID. So you could go to the API. You could go to our members over here. So you can just do a quick get. Let's see, where's that get right here? That's getting a member ID, and that'll return. That's the wrong one. Member ID. There we go. Okay, it keeps opening up the wrong one. That'll open up all of your information of the entire data model for that user. So all of their league tag, their name, references, basically that whole bundle. Same with the teams. If you wanted to pull out the team data, you could go to this team ID here. Yes, the number of badges and trophies that can be created. Yes, that gets bumped up with your the boosting of the league. So I think you're limited on the trophies to 3 because you might be under the free, quote unquote, free league, and we will continue to add more numbers to that as you get boosted, an ever incrementing one. The API access is also tied to boosting. So as you get further up on that boost level, your ability to get an API key will get unlocked as well, so you can interact directly with the site. We do anticipate having essentially a marketplace or bots similar to how Discord operates in the long term, and API access will be required to do some of that stuff. So your API key is specific to your league, obviously. We've talked about this before, but your data is isolated to its own portion of the database. It's all under one nice hierarchy and tree, and so your API key locks you into that spot. You can't go meandering outside of it. I'll point out one other thing that I realized: the match chat, which has been something that's been rolled out for a bit. If I do this, I say something bad. So if you do say something bad, typically you'd want to clear that chat. They'll remove it, but as an admin, if you come back in, you will be able to see deleted messages, but only you will be able to. So we do have archive of all deleted stuff, just in case. You still have the ability to clear it out, but also preserve the history of what was said for punishment and abuse. So that will stay there, but that is only visible to seasoned admins again. So again, all of the notifications and things will be tied into this match chat as well. So if you set up a reschedule, a suggested time, that'll get pushed out to all of your inboxes for the captains of the teams to know that they've been proposed with a new time and should maybe come back to that. Talking about last night, setting up a different stage for each of the different conferences and divisions. The best way to format that. I think for NECC, the way I'm structuring yours, moving towards is your activation phase. We were talking internally about the ranking stuff a lot, and it's getting prepped for all of that. But your activation phase should be all the teams. So Halo, you should have your 200 to 400 teams all in here. We're gonna have one stage where they're gonna have the different tiers. I'm gonna play up, down, and then from that you will create a new season for each tier. So your champions are gonna have a season, and then within that season you're gonna have a stage for each of your divisions / conferences. I think it's conferences, right? So you're gonna have the time zones, and we'll be using that availability information of the teams that they have set up or that they will set up to dictate which one goes where. So when they come in, they go to their availability area and they'll add time slots, say we're available on Tuesdays, from 6 to 8, whatever. And then we'll be able to help you sort those availability charts to automatically create your conferences within your tiers. So, and yeah, they will not have to re-register for a new season. We can handle that through batch processing and automation. And with that, I'm going to get back to work and get this pushed out to production and these new changes, and we will keep going. So we'll see you next week. And again, if you have questions, type them in your chat and we'll go from there.